Jason Arday was once held up as a symbol of what British academia could be. Now his death is a reckoning over duty of care, institutional failure, media scrutiny, and racism. The Cambridge professor resigned last week after allegations of plagiarism and that parts of his life were exaggerated or made up. Arday admitted errors in his work but denied plagiarism. The 41-year-old was clearly struggling when he stepped down, saying in a statement, "What I have experienced has gone far beyond scholarly disagreement."
He was leaning on a number of people. I think he was desperately trying to find a way to stay alive, actually. He kept telling me, and I know he kept telling other people that he was leaning on, that he felt as though his life was over. I'm pretty surprised Cambridge did not recognize how extraordinarily vulnerable he was.
Cambridge University have released a short statement in which they say they are desperately saddened by the death of Jason Arday and extend their sympathies to his friends and family. But we've spoken to multiple professors at Cambridge University who say that they feel let down by the senior leadership there and that they feel there was a lack of duty of care towards Arday. Some feel a sense of mutiny towards senior leadership and feel that there must now be resignations. Arday became the youngest black professor in Cambridge's history in 2023, and questions over his academic credentials have been swirling for some time. For some, his backstory was too hard to believe, and many tried to pick holes in it. Arday was autistic and said he didn't speak until 11.
I went to university at 20, but had the reading age of a 9-year-old. You know, so you're trying to really kind of...
Really? I mean, is that possible?
Yeah, it is.
Allegations against Arday's work resurfaced recently when this former Cambridge researcher Nathan Kofnas published claims of plagiarism in the professor's work. Kofnas had his research role terminated over his views on diversity in 2024. He argued true meritocracy would push out black people in higher profile roles, including Harvard professors, to zero. Arday then suffered a relentless campaign of coverage against him, with his stories making headlines around the world. There were articles asking questions about his life before academia. Was he really on a popular TV show, 7 Up? And how long did it really take him to run from Edinburgh to London for charity? The stories went deep into his personal life.
In the last 9 days, there was 188 newspaper articles about Jason Arday, right? You do not see that same level of scrutiny, that same level of coverage about other cases of plagiarism, other cases of people exaggerating their CVs.
Is it because he was a black professor?
There is no doubt that the fact that he was a black man was a contributory factor, if not the major factor, as to why the coverage that he received and the coverage of the case he received.
Some allege conservative figures are targeting black academics in a war on diversity. Black professors make up barely 1% at UK universities. At the heart of it all is a personal tragedy. Arday's family said last night they were in shock to have lost an amazing father, partner, brother, uncle and son.
Emily with her there. Now joining me is Kendi Andrews, who's an academic specialising in black studies and a friend of Jason Arday. Kendi Andrews, first off, our deepest condolences, obviously. I understand you spoke to him yesterday, which must mean within a matter of hours before he died. What was his frame of mind, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I spoke to him on Monday, we had dinner, and I texted him over the week. And it was very clear that he was overwhelmed, he was upset, he was depressed, he couldn't see a way out because of this avalanche of stories. 188 stories on Jason Arday. It's a mob, it's ridiculous, it's ludicrous. And he just he didn't want to leave the house. When I saw him on Monday, he had lost lots of weight. He was clearly damaged by all this scrutiny and speculation around him.
And clearly emotionally isolated from what you've just said. Was he on his own yesterday when you spoke?
So he's had people around him, and we've been trying to support him. But I do want to stress here, this isn't just a tragedy. A man was lynched yesterday. Like, when you talk about those amount of articles, and you can't just blame Cambridge University. This is the media. This is 188 articles. This is constant scrutiny. This is people outside of his house, even today when he's died. This is unprecedented. And I want to stress this very clearly. If he was white, he would still be alive. This is the story, and I just can't believe how bad it's become.
A lynching?
What else could you call it? So you have people like Nathan Koffnass, who, let's just say these are racist ideas, who put this idea out there that he's a victim of plagiarism. We still hear this. You did it today in the same story. Victim of, he was allegations of plagiarism. Those allegations were investigated and he was cleared. I read his PhD a year ago and said this is not plagiarism, and he was cleared. Yet that's still part of the story. And then all of this resounding pressure, media pressure around him, memes on TikTok.
Okay.
I would have said before it was metaphorically a lynching, but like I said, he's now dead because he's black. What else do we call that but a public lynching of this man?
Okay, that notwithstanding, we arrive at that situation, do we not? Because it is said by some that the duty of care, which not just one university, and you work in universities, but perhaps two more, didn't execute in the way that they should have done. Surely there is some responsibility lying there, and surely that needs an independent, truly independent, fully independent inquiry.
Oh, certainly there's I'm interested about the other universities. I would say they're part of the thing I always push back heavily. Being an academic, knowing how jobs get handed out, this idea that Jason was somehow not credible and given the job for the wrong reasons, there is no evidence of that at all. He was a professor at Glasgow and he moved to be a professor at Cambridge. Cambridge certainly have a duty of care. Cambridge did the right thing at first. They knew it was a smear. He'd been working behind the scenes for 3 years on this, and they said, look, this is a smear, nothing to see here. But sadly, because of all the media pressure, they then bowed to that, and also from some academics at Cambridge, and said, we're going to launch an investigation. An investigation into what?
Right.
The allegations about him lying about running the marathons aren't actually precedent to his job. So when they said they were going to do this investigation, that's what led to his resignation.
But
and that was a complete mistake.
Indeed. Just if I may just pick you up on that point you made a moment or two ago, which is interesting. You said University of Cambridge had a duty of care, which you said they exercised at first. That implies you feel something went off the rails.
Yeah, I think it was because of the amount of media scrutiny. So at first they were very clear. They said, look, this is a smear. His PhD has been investigated, and they were standing behind him. And then I think it's because, and this is the sad thing for me, it wasn't just the right-wing press. The Guardian got involved, BBC got involved. It became this massive story that then Cambridge felt they had to respond to. And I do think there's one thing that Cambridge did do. Jason Arday was qualified for his job. There seems to be no doubt that then Cambridge used that as a PR boost. Look at us, we're not racist anymore. And unfortunately, when the PR narrative shift, it seems like Cambridge went, okay, let's throw him to the wolves, launch this investigation and withdrew their support.
Right.
And they should never have accepted his resignation. They knew how bad his mental health was.
Sure.
They knew what he was going through. And there is no way they should have stood by and said, okay, you can resign, let's leave you to the wolves. That is something they should be accountable for, and I hope the family sues them for it too.
So, very briefly, Prime Minister says this should be a moment for national reflection. Reflection upon what is most important from your perspective as his friend?
It has to be the fact that the Prime Minister is talking about Jason Arday. This is somebody who previously was completely unknown, has become a household name because of a racist smear campaign from the right, which we should have pushed back on and said, this is a terrible story. But sadly, the rest of the media joined in, and now it's become, that's the story. How is the media reporting this? How is the media allowing themselves to be led by these racist right-wing ideas? That's what the inquiry should be about.
Okay, Andy, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it, particularly now. Thank you.